So yeah, the CLAT and the LSAT results are out, and most of the students who had given CLAT might not have qualified for the national law schools because around 56,000 students had appeared for CLAT UG, and as we all know, the seats are around some thousands, 2,000, and so not everyone has got through. So some of you might be planning to take a drop because that's the kind of a determination which I've seen in law students throughout the country, but others might be looking at other options. So it's quite natural to have a question that how to choose a law school, because there are so many law schools now. Almost every university is opening up what they call as law school, a law program. So it's natural for you to have that kind of confusion, and more because it's a profession where it requires a lot of involvement from the field of from various options. So this video of mine is basically a kind of experience sharing from my part, where I'm going to tell you that how to choose a law school on few set parameters, cutting out every kind of a confusion. So I'll go one by one. I'll take up one by one each thing that matters, and I'm going to tell it to you that how it matters. And you have to, whenever you are deciding upon a law school, you have to specifically coin in on that. Okay, this is the law school which I have chosen, and how does it rank on those parameters. So this is going to be a huge video. This is going to be a long video where I'm going to discuss everything, every of my experience, because I've worked with the best of the best universities and the best law schools in the country, and also my own personal experience from a national law school. That is something which I'm going to share, and the decision is going to be finally yours. Yeah, I do belong to a law school, so I'm not here to basically promote that idea of a law school. So I'll be sharing my experience, and the rest, the call is upon you. Okay, so the first and the foremost, which the point which I'm going to discuss is what is going to appear on the screen. The first consideration that should be in your mind when zeroing on a law school is faculties. It's a no compromise zone. Believe me, I've seen law schools who are not spending on law on their faculty, and they're bombing, and they are going down the hill. They're chunking out law graduates who are of no use. Those poor students are then going to some some law firm, joining them, and then taking a lot of time to learn those basics which can be taught in law school. Now, yes, law school faculties are expensive. You cannot just hire them just like that. But then the ones whom the universities are hiring, paying a good package, believe me, are the ones who are creating that kind of a magic. Now, leave package alone. Let's talk about what makes a good faculty. So I'm talking here with a lot of responsibility, and there might be many people who will start pointing fingers at me. Qualifications don't make faculties, to be very frank. Yeah, the basic qualification here would be a BA LLB, but it's the zest to teach. It's that zest to teach where when you get into a class, you become a performer. You go there, you make sure that each student sitting inside the class gets to know that what you have in your mind and is able to challenge what you call as the laws made in the land, and also grasp the basics of the law that you are teaching. That should be the zest which should be in a faculty. And believe me, they are very rare. And if they are there, many of the best law schools have already backed them. Now, when I say qualification, I'm talking about many other qualifications which run. I'm very happy with the present UGC chairman who's just throwing out this qualification thingy out of the qualifications for teaching. Rather, he's teaching. The person who wants to teach should go ahead and teach, and that's exactly how it is. I've seen people who have done their masters from abroad failing inside the classes. While a person who's just a BA LLB and not too from a very good law school, but he has learned his laws better, coming and in a very, very simple manner able to induce students into further go into research and learn the law in a much better manner. So how would you deduce, how would you deduce that, okay, this particular law school has a good faculty? Pay a visit to law schools. Do not just decide upon looking at the website and looking at the flurry of the qualifications in front of a name of a person. That's not how you decide on a law school. When you go to a law school, I'm 100% sure good law schools are very open. If you want to meet the faculty, go ahead and meet them, interact with them, In one interaction only, you are not going to, totally reduce that, okay, he's a super faculty, but at least you'll have an idea. Meet the students taught by these faculty. Now, why do I say that meet the students who are taught by this faculty? You have to ask a question, which is like very, very important. And that's exactly how I deduce when I meet my students in various law schools, that how they are being taught. You ask how your faculties are. If a student says, "Oh, our faculties are super," blah 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 blah. Uh, when I was also in law school, I used to say that my law school is the best and my faculties are the best. On the other hand, what you should do is, when you ask this question, just see how the answer is coming. If the answer comes out that, yeah, we have great faculties, let me give you some examples like how we are being taught law. And then if a student is able to pull out the pages about how a specific chapter was taught, how a specific test is being conducted, what all they are doing, what all extracurriculars are happening, and how how the student is encouraged to walk that path which he has never walked, and he's gaining new experiences out of it. That's exactly how you're going to deduce that yes, this law school has good faculties. How much is the involvement of the faculty in the student? That's also very, very important. Is the faculty just coming, delivering a class and just going off? It's just performance. As I said, for me a class is always a performance. On the other hand, is the faculty also making sure that when he's going into a publication or he's going into for a conference, he's also sharing it with the students? Whenever there is whenever there is a conference or something happening inside the law school, that faculty is encouraging the students to come and be a part of it, and he's mentoring students not just inside the classroom but also inducing in them to go ahead and make sure that they are able to adapt to these all things which will matter the day you step into the practical into the practical world. And that's what law is all about. Like in medical field, you might have seen, it's not just about the theories, it's also about the surgeries. It's also about doing, if someone wants to become a dentist, he has to go through that drill. He has to know the entire structure of how a human the dentures look like. And that's exactly with law. Law is all about not just attending classes and scoring high marks. It's also about knowing that how you are developing, how the faculty is able to induce you to develop. Such kind of faculties are the need of the hours, not people with a lineage of degrees in front of their name. Faculties who involve, who make sure that the student is able to grow, and also that there's a mix of faculties, not just like senior people. Senior people are very important in any organization, but it should also have young and dynamic faculties. When I say young and dynamic faculties, I mean to say those who are very much updated with whatever is happening in and around, and they have that zest for learning. If you see law schools like HNLU, NLSIU, JNLU have had new young faculties. Why are they doing it? Because they understand the need of the hour. Jindal Global Law School, one of those private institutions which is doing exceptionally well. It has a brigade of young faculties that it hires, and all these people are the ones who are really creating that stir. They are the ones who are creating the what you call as the young lawyers for the next generation. You're getting it? So faculties, that should be on your mind. So here at IFM also, we are very clear. We have a amalgamation of the experience and also the young people, and in between people like me who are not young nor very old, but yes, we form that particular what you call the cusp where we are able to adjust with both the kind of teaching, and we encourage our students. That's so faculty. Be very, very clear that when you are zeroing in on a law school, you go to the faculty list. You are able to go to the college, meet some faculties, meet some students, gain that feedback, and make sure that you're getting the best. The next point should be the HOD, or else the vice chancellor, or the person who's heading that school of law. This, in fact, is as important as the faculties. You may ask me why. Just take a look around the best law schools. For example, let's start with the big daddy, NLS Bangalore. It was Professor Madhav Menon, it was Professor Venkat Rao, and now Sudhir Krishnaswamy. These are the people who are actually heading that institution and taking it to these heights from where NLS now comes to know, it is famously called as a Harvard of Peace because they have that kind of a vision. And yes, specifically if you see, they are also faculties, they are also into teaching, so they go and interact with the students. They know the vibes of the students, they know what is the call of the students, and that is the kind of HODs who are required. So talking in the present context, if you ask me, I'm 100% sure that RGNUL Patiala is going places, because the kind of vice chancellor who has joined RGNUL Patiala, I know him personally. His name is Professor Vajpayee, a very forward-looking visionary. Is Professor Vajpayee. He's someone who has the contacts. He's someone who is a thorough teacher, a researcher, someone who can attract the kind of academy, the world academia to RGNUL Patiala. If you ask me my own personal story, uh, we were blessed to have Professor V.S. Rekhi as our founding director at NLIU Bhopal when I joined. I was in the first 5 batches. I was the fourth batch. And believe me, he was the one who created what NLIU is today. He was the one who brought in faculties from all over India, the best of the best faculty. We had Professor Suryadev, we had Professor Ghayur Alam. The best of the best people were teaching us. Now, if you ask me, there are many law schools which are, which are messing it up, including the national law schools. The recruitment policy, if you see, they are picking in people from local, some there is a great deal of red tapeism also which is happening in many of the recruitments. You'd see that someone's relative, someone is just getting through. There was a very recent article on the same also which I read, where these things were so open. Someone filed a RTI and he was able to pull up these things. If you see those law schools, they are not doing well, just because of this reason, that the person who is sitting on the top of the affairs probably is cracking under pressure. Imagine this happening to NLS Bangalore. This might not ever have happened because Professor Madhu Menon was not the kind of a person. NUJS Kolkata had the best faculty during our times also, because that's exactly how the VC was. He was very clear. He had Shamnad Bashir, come and join NUJS Kolkata. And that's the kind of people who are required. Professor Ranveer Singh, NLU Delhi, it had a geographical advantage, but then Professor Ranveer Singh created NLU Delhi. And see what it is. If in private institutions, if you talk about, look at Professor C. Rajkumar, what he's doing. He's able to attract so many legal talents from all over India and the world and come and teach and create that kind of an academic magnetism that the students are the ones who are getting the benefit. And moreover, it's all about the vision, and it's also about the network which these HODs have, which creates the law school and the impact. You don't look at the rankings. I can hardly find a kind of a ranking where the ranking agency goes to the campus, meets students, looks at things empirically, and comes out with a ranking. If you ask me, I go by who is leading. So just a few days back, one of my senior from a very top law firm was discussing to me about his options, and RGNL Patiala was one of the options. I said, please go ahead and join RGNL Patiala, because I know what Vajpayee sir is going to do, the kind of person he is. He's going to create, and quite rightly, I said that, and the next week I saw that they won the Oxford Moot. So it depends a lot. So please be very clear that the institution that you're zeroing in on, or you are going to join, who is heading it? Who is the person who is the face of that institution? Well, next in line has to be infrastructure. Now, believe me, in law school, infrastructure doesn't mean acres and acres of campus. Because if you ask me and many others, they would say NLS Bangalore, it started in a small building. I happened to meet Professor Vivekanandan, who is currently the Vice Chancellor of HNLU. I forgot to mention him in the HOD. He's also one of those exceptional people who has joined the law school, and I have great hopes with one of those national law schools. It is HNLU Raipur, post him joining, because his mentor was Professor Madhav Menon, under whom he joined as a faculty. So I had the pleasure of being in a panel where he was also there, and he was narrating the story about how when Professor Madhav Menon had invited him to join NLS Bangalore long back, and when he went and he asked, "Where do I sit?" he showed him a small bench and he said, "Go ahead and sit. That's your place where you have to sit." So it's not about infrastructure. At the end of the day, all of them are like brick and mortar, right? So what is infrastructure as per law school? The first thing you should have is a good library. When I say library, it's not just about books, it's also about all those online resources of research. A space, a reading space where you can sit and research, and also people who, and also the faculties and a librarian who understands the library in that sense. I remember we were God blessed in NLIU Bhopal that I don't exactly remember the name of the justice, but one of those great persons and a scholar and a justice of a Supreme Court had donated lots of books to our library, and our library was contented. All the all ERs, the All India England reporters, AIRs, and everything. It was well stuffed, and some of the best books were there. And we got help from all those resources. You go to NLS Bangalore, also you find the same thing. Best of the best law schools you go to, you'll get a good library. Now it's not just about library, it's also about having a good mood court, having when I say infrastructure, it should also be like the mood court should not be just for the name of it. It's just like an alley and there's a small room and they've created a mood court. Bar Council of India has specifically given instructions as to how the mood court should look like. So there has to be a specific room which should not be used for anything else. Because when you say court, court means court, right? It has to have that kind of a dignity. But students, it's open for students to hold specific mood courts where they can train themselves for practice, for going into, for going for national moods, etc. Even for their rounds, it's an activity which keeps on happening. So mood court means a devoted place. With that, if you say sports is something, I would say a law school may have a sports facility or may not have a sports facility, because when I joined NLIU Bhopal long back in 2001-6, we did not have a sports facility per se, but we used to go for the Sai sports facility and we used to make good use of it. And you cannot say that we did not enjoy sports, but then library was something which I remember. Uh, Nearly 60% of our time we spent in library than in classrooms, because we were researching, we were doing other stuff. So when we talk about infrastructure, these are the two most important things which you should go visit and see whether a law school has it or not. And it should not be shared, as I said, it should not be a shared library. It should be a specific law library. Again, the Bar Council of India is very, very categorically saying that any institute which wants to open up a law school should have a specific law library, not something which is shared. And moot court also, like I said, with moot court there should be other facilities also, like a legal aid room where the students can sit and give legal aid to the people concerned, where they open up legal aid clinic with a purpose that people who cannot afford legal services can come at least for discussion about the legal problems. So there should be a legal aid clinic also. So these are those basic things which should be there in the law school, which you are going to when you talk about infrastructure. Now, internet is also a part of infrastructure, if you ask me. And yes, internet is very, very important, because all those online research equipments like LexisNexis, your Manupatra, etc., they're of no use if you do not get a good internet. So internet option, I don't think there is one law school in our country which does not give a proper internet connection. Thanks to Mr. Ambani, the rates have come down, so everyone can afford it. So these are those things which you should be very clear about when you go for a law school. Now, talking about hostel, because why I'm making this video, because there are so many students who are mailing me and asking me to answer to this question. Hostel, see, hostel, many students want a comfortable hostel. If you go to any IITs also, you would go and see that students do not have a luxurious hostel. Yeah, comfortable hostel, I would say yes to it. A place where you can properly sit, study, a place where you can also enjoy your life, because it's not just about studies, right? So you should be able to go and see that there is life inside the hostel. It should not be something which is so jagged and so cramped that you will not be even able to think properly. So please go and visit hostels and see what kind of arrangement have law schools created. So listen to this great stand-up comedy by Mr. Anubhav Bassi, where he narrates a great incident out of his law school hostel life. So such kind of instances will also happen in law school. So many different kinds of characters are there in law school, and it's an enjoyable time in hostel. So it should have space. That's what I'm saying. So crammed, no, don't go for those hostels because, yeah, I know that hostels are meant only for sleeping. You go there and just, sleep. Otherwise, you're all the time either in the classrooms or doing other things. So, but then to get a good sleep is a requirement. Uh, I've seen memes and trolls where they say that law students suffer from insomnia and they're not able to sleep. They're just for few students. It's just not that true. We do sleep and we do require good sleep. So hostels are also something which you should consider, not crammed, but open spaces. Another another thing which a student should have in mind when he's researching about which law school to join is the kind of clubs and associations which a law school should have. They should have that kind of a life. So it's not just about moot court association. They should also have associations for what you call as arbitration and conciliation, the ADR. They should have cultural associations also, which takes care of things like because being a law student is not just about studies. I again keep on repeating the same. It's also about doing plays. It's also about holding cultural events because you do not develop your interpersonal skills just by reading books. You have to participate. You have to be a part of those things. So if I go back and turn the pages of my law school days, I would say, uh, when I reached law school, it was nightmare for me because I belonged to an all boys school, and to give a presentation was the toughest thing for me. So I would rather, I was roll number 44. So whenever the presentation call would come, I'll run to roll number 47 and 48, and I would request them, please go ahead, give it before me. I'm very scared, Yeah, jaan nikli hui hai. That's exactly how I used to say. But we had a trimester system. Trimester system means every 3 months we had a final examination. So this was the first trimester. So by the time I reached the last trimester, I had given so many presentations. I was a part of so many debate competitions, ADRs, client negotiation competitions. I was a part of almost all the cells. And I had also by that time participated in a play for the first time in my life. You can say that the kind of confidence which came into me was just because of all these presentations, all those interactions which we were having, and the kind of encouragement which I was getting from faculties and also from my seniors, that by the time I reached in the last trimester, I would rather go to the roll number 41 and 39 and tell them that, yeah, let me give the presentation and get done with it. I have a match to play. I want to go home early. So, that was the change which happens to you. So you need to be very clear that when you go for a to a law school, be very clear, go through the Instagram pages, etc. So nowadays, students put these things into LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. about their pages, about the clubs activities which they are doing. So my law school and NLIU Bhopal, they're doing an incredible job. So I follow them on the Instagram page also. So whenever there is a client counseling competition or any competition for that matter, they come out with excellent videos about who is coming, who are the judges who are coming, and the cultural department, I guess its name is Athena. They're doing an incredible job. So that's something which you also need to keep track of. Specifically with private institutions, I've seen they just think that it's just about studies. It's not like that. So for private institution, you need to go and see whether they have a life inside that law school, or is it just about the Bar Council of India mandated subjects are being taught and that's it, right? So you need to do that research also about clubs and associations. Alumni, that's another factor which is very, very important. And well, we suffered a lot when we were about to graduate because we were in the first few batches of our college, and NLS was right there. It had all alumni and topmost law firms to get placements, and even to get internships was a big task for us, I remember. But then, yeah, it's not like they only prefer their juniors. There's so much scope, and if you have a good resume, and if you have good publications, etc., and if you have that will to succeed, it's not like they look at that, okay, only people from NLS Bangalore are invited. And I'm working with IFIM. one of our students has got to Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan, which has a lot of analyst students, and even the National Law School students. But someone from IFIM has got to, Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan. It's not like that anymore. They do invite students from everywhere, but then alumni play a major role. Be very, very clear about it. So when you're researching about which law school to join, do see that how the placement track record has been for law schools. And most of the best law schools I have seen put their placement track record very openly as a report on their website. It's also something which I guess UGC has a mandate with, or else the Bar Council has a mandate with. So there is a specific report just put on the website. Go see that how many people have got placed, what has been the placement ratio, what are the kind of seniors who have been joining. And there are also portals like Bar and Bench, etc., which keep on reporting about, you can follow them even on the social media through Instagram and Facebook, etc., where they keep reporting about who became a partner and from which law school he is in, etc., etc. So you have a very good idea about how how the alumni base is moving and shaking the entire legal industry, and that plays a very important role, but not the penultimate role. I have to say this because, as I said, things are changing, and law firms also know that it's not just with the end tag, but it is also about meeting the right candidate and also seeing that how does the student want, as in most of the my friends who are into firms, etc., they do tell me that when they meet students for internship or even for placements, they do have a question which is very, very, very important, and that is what is your plan for the next 5 years, and where do you see yourself for the next 5 years? And that answer, makes or breaks you. It's very simple because there they do not ask you about your end tag or anything else, and they understand that the most of the national law school students are very over ambitious. They want to go ahead and achieve it all in a very short span because they have done their 5 years of degree in such a short span with all the fame and etc. Besides them. But generally, students who are coming from other law schools, they have a very good attitude about it. I'm talking from my own personal experience also. I do take research assistants and who helped me in my research, and there have been students who have been very good. Not just the National Law School students who want to excel, who have a a kind of a urge inside them to do that. So that's one side of the story. But alumni base does play a major role in getting internships and as well as your placements. So do check about it and do research very particularly about it. And yes, finally, the most important thing, location. Not the most important thing, but location does matter. Uh, Again, my personal experience was that because our law school was in Bhopal, and Bhopal was not that famous. The only thing that it was famous was for probably the great Bhopal gas disaster which had happened. So getting people to Bhopal was very difficult. But then, believe me, like I said, why the head of departments or as the vice chancellors are very important, like what Professor Reiki did. Similarly, one of the best contributions to NLIU Bhopal had been Professor Moolchand Sharma. When he became the vice chancellor, we saw the best of the best people, the movers and shakers of legal industry coming to our campus, and he was the one who made it possible. Not the place, but he was able to get those people. Thankfully, we had National Judicial Academy very close to us. There were people who used to come and visit that campus, and he was so good at networking that he would bring people down to even our campus. Uh, yeah, it's very fancy to say that National Law School, but it takes much time to get good people to your campus if you are in a remote location. So do see that which city are you traveling to, and to get internships also in that city or in vicinity is also something which becomes very easy if that place as such is famous. For example, at our college also in IFM, it's very easy for students to get internship in Bangalore itself because thanks to NLIU Bangalore, the legal industry in Bangalore is always in demand. They have a lot of work. Similarly, if you see NLU Delhi, because NLU Delhi is there, many other law schools are also getting benefited out of it because Supreme Court, and all the best of the best law firms in India are based out of Delhi. And they do have requirements which keep on increasing. And so from interns to even for placements, it's not very difficult. So if you see the entire belt which starts from Delhi to Chandigarh and to the parts of Noida and some parts of Uttar Pradesh, etc., it's very easy for students that ways to get internships. But getting inside is easy. You have to create your niche. That is the most difficult task, for which you require faculties and all others. So location plays a very, very, very important role in law schools. I know law schools which have opened up in the state because of, I don't know, or what fancy they had in their mind. And there are some states which have opened up more than one law school also in a state. I don't know how they're going to survive, given that you have to see the opportunities also which you are able to create. And the accessibility is also one of those things, because if you want to get good people for even placements, travel to your city, most of the law firms and etc., their time is very valuable. So they would want direct flights to reach that spot. They would not want to travel to get into the capital and then get into a car and travel, say, hours to reach that place. That is something which generally I have not seen law firms taking that kind of a trouble to. Yeah, so they don't have a placement drive. Rather, they might invite over candidates to their office and then they get placed. That's something which I have seen. But again, location really plays a very, very important role, because if you are closer to these places, there are so many conferences, etc., which are happening at these locations, like, say, Kolkata, Bangalore, Delhi, Hyderabad, etc. So it's very easy for you to go attend it and come back also. So that's one of the best benefits I've seen with NLU Delhi students, because most of the best conferences, they happen in Delhi. NLU Delhi students, it's just an off day for them. They'll take it off, they'll go attend, they'll come back. Think about it for any other student, and that's how NLU Delhi in very less time has been able to create such a great impact. And that's how, even if you say OP Jindal also, the location advantage is always there. So you need to check up the location, where is the law school located about. Even if it's a national law school, you need to check very, very finely that where exactly is the law school. What about the accessibility? Are the firms visiting these places for internships, etc.? So that's one of the most important things which you need to see. That's it. Here are the few things which you need to keep in your mind. I hope I've answered all the questions of students who had in their mind about choosing law schools, and take an informed decision. As I said, it's a profession, and at the end of the day, what you are going to receive and imbibe in this 5 years is going to be very, very fruitful and useful to you. But make sure that you're also practically learning those things. I've written also an article about how law schools have to start reinventing the manner in which they're putting examination system into place with the students. We have to do away with the pen and paper thing, I think, in law schools, because I can hardly see law students, lawyers using pen and paper and submitting their drafts, etc. They're doing typing, they're researching. So it should be more based upon their research. When I say research, it should be an open book test where they're given the question paper and they're asked to go ahead and research and come out with a possible solution to the problem, because lawyers are solution makers. So there are law schools which are doing it, and as I said, it's a mix of traditional faculty as well as new age faculties who are bringing about this change, and that is something which has to change. And I'm happy that some new law schools, private law schools, are also doing it. In some national law schools also these changes are happening. With that, law schools are also going ahead and doing multidisciplinary teaching, where they are not just confining themselves to law school. They're marrying tech and they're marrying liberal arts also to law. They're introducing new things which a student can go ahead and embrace. Particularly in this area, private institutions are doing an incredible job, because they have different schools, like business schools, liberal arts schools, even tech schools. So what they're doing is they're combining, they're offering electives, and a law student can also go and read about AI. He can also go and read about business dynamics, etc. And he's becoming something which would be the need of the hour for the coming ages. So even if he wants to go into litigation, he needs to have that kind of a knowledge about business acumen, which is very important. So things are changing. All you need to do is choose the right place where you want to spend your next 5 years, and make the best use out of it. And there is one thing which I want to tell you very specifically: don't hunt for placements when you choose a law school. I did not talk about it particularly, because any law school or any institution which talks about giving you 100% placement is basically cheating you, because unless until they don't get to meet you as a student inside a classroom or get to know you, if anyone is assuring you that they're going to get you placed, it's cheating you. I hope you get the idea what I'm speaking about, because it doesn't happen, you know. Because these 5 years is also about your self-discovery. You're discovering yourself. Even after those 5 years, you're discovering yourself. So how can that person say that okay, we'll get you placed? Yes, they can get you placement opportunities. They can get you internship opportunities. That is something which you should ask them, that how many companies visit, who all are, who, where do you get internships opportunity for your students, because to go there and back is entirely upon you. And how would you back it? It's very simple. Throughout the 5 years, you have to be vigilant. You have to not just be vigilant inside the classroom, outside also. You have to do multiple things. Like I said, it's also about being part of clubs, associations, participating in events, going ahead and being a part of everything and taking that leadership role hands on. Right? And those are the opportunities which matter the most, rather than just seeking placements. Just because, say, Mr. Tom got placed, you cannot be that Harry who can also get placed. Right? So that's it. If you have any further questions, please email it to me. My email will follow here. After this video, it's going to get followed, and you can ask me questions. This entire video was made by me because I have some students who kept on asking me about these questions, and I thought about, let me come out with a video. I will not go ahead and say that subscribe, blah blah blah, because I don't have a habit of coming out with videos every now and then. But whenever I come out with videos, it's basically on the feedback that I receive from the students. Thank you so much, and welcome to the legal fraternity, guys. If you are good, the profession is also going to be good to you. Okay, bye.